Here we need a vast military-style campaign to marshal the strength of the global private sector. With trillions at its disposal.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Let's listen to that again. Trillions at whose disposal?
With trillions at its disposal.
Who is his? Who is his? Where did his come from? It came out of nowhere. It literally came out of nowhere. Who is his? It's the final Antichrist, folks. That's who he's talking about. The final Antichrist. Once we put trillions at his disposal, he is going to be able to solve the problem for us. But guess what? He's about to get even more spirit of Antichrist-like because he is about to make an argument in case we missed it. He is going to reiterate the argument that we cannot viably use cash in the world that is coming up. Maybe we take a moment to go look at what former Prince Charles, now King Charles, says about what's going on in the private sector. You might remember this speech from COP26, and he's not playing around. People thought I was a little extreme. Go try to find this online. You're not going to find this online anywhere except our YouTube site. They have this speech modified in big ways. Buckingham literally took the words from this speech and have completely hidden it, modified it. Think about that for 1 second. Look at what Prince Charles says about this. We shouldn't be surprised. He's about to talk about marshaling the strength of the global private sector. He's going to call it part of a military campaign. And he's even going to indirectly refer to the final Antichrist. Whether or not he realizes he's doing it. Look at what he says here, folks. This is not a joke. I'm not playing around. I'm not messing around. This is not a game here. Look what he says.
Renewable and sustainable. So, ladies and gentlemen, my plea today is for countries to come together to create the environment that enables every sector of industry to take the action required.
By the way, let me just stop for 1 second. The cult right now of the hard left and the satanically inspired left is Ukraine. But the secondary cult tied to that is climate change. So this guy is coming in the name of climate change to say what he's saying. Look what he's about to call for, folks. Pay attention. This is not a joke. This is real. This is really happening. He's now the king. By the way, the king of England is also the head of the church there, right? That's a whole other story, right? So let's not even get into what all the crazy implications of that could end up being, especially when we start talking about the levels of deception that are going to be deployed by the enemy. Think about that for just one moment. Kind of crazy when you think about it. Look what he says here. Let's pay attention to this.
We know this will take trillions, not billions of dollars.
By the way, trillions, not billions, is a very fancy, schmancy way of saying there is no cash in the world that is capable of being able to accomplish the purpose that he says needs to be accomplished. It's a priceless endeavor. It is one that cannot be put a fiscal dollar amount on. Satan does this with all over the place. Remember, Ukraine is doing the same thing right now. Zelensky is saying there is no price tag you could put on something like this. Really? That's exactly where all of this is going, folks. I want people to wake up to what is actually happening here. This is undoubtedly a grand conspiracy that the father of lies continues to propagate. Look what he continues to say here.
We also know that countries, many of whom are burdened by growing levels of debt, simply cannot afford to go green. Here we need a vast military-style campaign to marshal the strength of the global private sector.
You wonder why he would say military style? We need a vast military-style campaign to marshal the strength of the global private sector. In other words, we need to function as a series of totalitarian regimes to come into the place of a single global regime, and we need to force the private sector to do this. That's what he's saying. This is beyond martial law, folks. This is dictator, totalitarian action. This is antichrist right here. Let me repeat what he says here. Listen to him.
Many of whom are burdened by growing levels of debt, simply cannot afford to go green.
By the way, can I say this? When he talks about the countries that simply cannot afford to go green, he is basically saying they are the ones we need to attack first because they are the ones that are going to be the most desperate. We need to deploy our ideal concerning our thought for the future climate change with them first because they are going to be the most incentivized to act. And then we need to use the private sector. We need to, with a military style campaign, literally forcefully and aggressively with a totalitarian mindset, we need to deploy employ this level of insanity and intensity in order to accomplish our totalitarian regime establishment. This is the King of England, folks.
Here we need a vast military-style campaign to marshal the strength of the global private sector, with trillions at its disposal.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Let's listen to that again. Trillions at whose disposal?
With trillions at its disposal.
Who's his? Who is his? Where did his come from? It came out of nowhere. It literally came out of nowhere. Who is his? It's the final Antichrist, folks. That's who he's talking about. The final Antichrist. Once we put trillions at his disposal, he is going to be able to solve the problem for us. But guess what? He's about to get even more spirit of Antichrist-like, because he is about to make an argument in case we missed it. He is going to reiterate the argument that we cannot viably use cash in the world that is coming up. If you think Satan is not deploying a grand conspiracy here, it's time to wake up. Because what we are watching is substantial and it is significant, and folks, it cannot be ignored.
Far beyond global GDP, and with the greatest respect, beyond even the governments of the world's leaders.
So he's saying all of the gross domestic product of the whole world cannot come up with enough money to solve this problem. And he says, with all due respect, you cannot put the brain power of every single global leader in the world to solve this problem. It goes far beyond all of that. Why? Because we need no cash and we need an Antichrist. The Antichrist is going to be the only one that's going to be able to do this, and we cannot do this with a cash society. That's what he's saying. If you don't believe me, look what he says next. This will make a whole lot more sense.
Beyond even the governments of the world's leaders, it offers the only real prospect of achieving fundamental economic transition.
It offers the only real prospect of fundamental economic transition. What is the only real prospect to provide fundamental economic transition? It is a cashless society. And it's not just a cashless society. It is a cashless society that is obtained by a military-style campaign through the marshaling of the global private sector, the results of which involve a yielding to a single totalitarian ruler. We are talking about the final Antichrist, folks. We are talking about Revelation 13.